Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So my last video I asked you guys what you wanted to see, and a lot of you guys said you wanted to hear how I found out I was pregnant. So I'm going to be talking about how I found out I was pregnant. Before I get started, like and subscribe, turn your notifications on. My last video you guys got me 1K and I'm so happy. Like so happy, you guys don't even understand. So thank you for that. So let's get started. So let's start with how I found out I was pregnant, or how it happened. I'm pretty sure you guys know how babies happen, but so basically I got pregnant in May 2019. I was 19 years old at that time, and I had went to Miami for Rolling Loud. So I'll talk more about this in another video, but Chris, my baby daddy, my boyfriend, he lives in Florida. So Chris was in Orlando. I was going to Miami for Rolling Loud. We were kind of mad at each other at that time, and we weren't talking. So I didn't really, well, I knew I might see him, but I'm like, well, he's in Orlando and I'm in Miami, so what are the odds? He told me he might go down, but then he said he wasn't, so I'm like, maybe he will, maybe he won't. Then the night before, I actually wasn't gonna go anymore to Miami, long story, but then he told me he was going to Miami, and then I was like, oh, so now that I'm not going, he's going, so now I'm gonna go. So I literally booked my flight the night before and just went, and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go anyways. And it was so expensive too, I should not have done that, but I was just being crazy. So I went. Rolling Loud is a 3-day thing. So he wasn't going to Rolling Loud, but he was just going to go to Miami for those exact same days. So right before I leave to Miami, I had just ran out of my birth control pills. And regardless, I'm so bad with my birth control, so bad. And I know that's really irresponsible. I clearly will not be having that same mistake anymore. But that time I was just whatever. I'd miss a day or two and be well, I'm not gonna get pregnant 1 day or 2 days, and everybody would be yes you are, and I'm you're dragging it. So I was really bad with my birth control, and then right before I left, I had ran out, and like I said, me and Chris were kind of an argument, and I'm I'm not talking to him anymore. I don't even need my birth control because I'm not talking to him anymore. Obviously I was lying. And but I told myself that, and then before I left too, I was well, you know what, I am not ovulating anyways, because I got my period the 3rd and I left to Miami the 10th. And when I left to Miami, that was my last day of my period. It was the 9th and the 10th. Anyways, I know the day I left, it was my last day of my period. So my dumbass goes, well, I'm gonna ovulate 2 weeks from today because it's my last day. Clearly the public school health classes failed me, because I didn't realize you ovulate 2 weeks after the first day of your period. So I'm there, no birth control. And I also know that, sometimes when you're on birth control for a while and then you stop, it could also take a while for you to be fertile or whatever again. Sometimes it takes people's bodies a few months to get that out of their system and get ready to make a baby again. So regardless, I'm what are the odds? Very likely, I guess. So I go to Miami. We're texting, but trying to be cordial, but we're not all over each other because we're fake mad. And anyways, blah blah blah, I go to Rolling Loud. I get back that night. Obviously I go to his Airbnb that he was staying at, and I stayed with him and we made up. So the whole time I'm in Miami, we're good now, just doing it. And the whole time I'm no birth control. When I come back, so I'm just it doesn't matter because I wasn't ovulating. I come back, it was a week after, and I was at work one day and I was I wonder when I'm supposed to get my period. And this wasn't me even thinking about that. I was just I just want to know when my period's supposed to come, because my period is a fucking timer. The day I'm supposed to get it is the day I get it. So I'm to avoid an accident or whatever, just to know, I tracked it which is also coincidence because I never track my period. I just like don't care, let it come. But also I'm usually on birth control, so I know when I'm gonna get it. This time I'm, you know, swinging it. So I go to check, and so you know, most period trackers, they this wasn't even like I don't even know what app it was. It was like a website, I think. It wasn't even an app. And they tell you the day your period is supposed to come, but they also tell you the days that you're ovulating and your most fertile day and stuff. So the website I found had that, but I wasn't even searching for my ovulation days. I was just searching, so I go, okay, so my period's supposed to come the 30th. And then, but as I'm reading, I'm like, what are these dots? And then I go, okay, ovulation days. And I'm like, 2 plus 2 equals 5. Subtract the 1. I was ovulating. So I'm like, no, this is wrong. Like, and I'm just staring at it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure those are the, like, obviously I knew those were the days I was in Miami. And I'm still like this is the beginning of the denial. And I'm like, was I in Miami those days? Oh my God, those were the days I was in Miami. That's wrong. Like, this is just wrong. So I go check another website, and it also says I was ovulating those days. I checked 5 websites and an app, and they all said I was ovulating those days. Like, all the days I was in Miami. Like, literally that week was my ovulation day. They all said I was ovulating. So I'm like, well, I have a little panic attack, but then I'm literally, this whole story is really funny because I was in denial the whole time. And so I'm like, well, I guess I was ovulating, but I had just gotten off my birth control. And yeah, that's it. I had just gotten off my birth control, like, and I was just like, what are the odds? But clearly the baby making gods was like, so I am just panicking. I told Chris, and he's just like, okay. Like, he's like, well, I mean, I guess we just gotta wait and see. I tell my mom. Yes, I told my mom. A lot of people were surprised that I told my mom. My mom was like the first person. My mom is my best friend, so she was literally like the first person I told, and she's just like, bitch. And I'm like, I know. So she like kind of like calls a few people, like just friends that like have recently gave birth, recently got pregnant, and you know, a lot of people are telling her like, you know, she's probably fine. She kind of bugged out there, but you know, what are the odds? The same thing I was saying. I highly doubt it. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, she'll be fine. So then I calmed down for a little bit, but then after a few days, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but me personally, I feel everything. So after a few days, I started to feel weird, and I again was in denial though, and I was like, you know, this is me panicking and like making myself think that I'm feeling things. So that's what I'm telling myself is happening. Like, I'm feeling weird, and I'm like, you know, this is me being worried. Like, I'm just wait, I'm gonna take my pregnancy test and everything's gonna be fine. But after then another few days keep going by and I'm still feeling weird. Then I get a little blood. And at first I'm like, oh, my period, but then I check the apps again, and my period isn't supposed to come for another week and a half. So I'm like, what is this? Research I had also read that one of the symptoms of pregnancy is bleeding, like a light discharge bleeding, and it's called like implantation bleeding. So I'm like, oh shit, that's what's going on. But then I don't know, like I was just so like, no, like everything was no, like no, are you dumb? No. So I get this bleeding and my period is supposed to come. I'm like, this is not supposed to be happening, like, but I'm like, you know what, everyone, like, it could happen. I also just again got off my birth control, and I know sometimes that messes with people's periods, so maybe it's just gonna come a little bit earlier. So the bleeding goes on for a few days. It kind of lightens up after a few days, but it's just like kind of coming and going. After like 2 days that I started bleeding, I just lost it, and I went and got a pregnancy test. Obviously, it's too early to take a pregnancy test. Even if I was pregnant, it wouldn't show up positive. But I'm just like, I'm just buy this pack of 3 and I'm gonna take one every few days and just see, and like if it doesn't come up, then I'm fine. But then I'm like, stop, you're crazy. Like, just wait. So I didn't listen to myself and I took it later on that day. And I wait and I wait the 2 minutes and nothing. And it said negative. So I'm like, okay, perfect, I'm good. I'm like, I gotta take another one in a few days anyways, because this was just stupid. But, as of right now, I'm fine. I continued about my day. This was all, I was at school. At this time, I was going to City Tech in Brooklyn. So I had went to some like Walgreens around there. I bought the test, I took it, I was fine. This was during a break between, and it was finals week, so I had to go back to school and take a final. And I go, whatever, I'm on the phone with Chris, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm fine. I took the test and it came back negative, so as of right now we're good. And then I get to school. I had just thrown the test in my bag, so when I go to take my test and I go in my bag to grab a pencil, I caught a glimpse of the test and I saw another line, and I'm like, are my eyes deceiving me, or is that another line? So I like pick it up and I'm like, everyone's taking a test and I'm in my bag like this, like looking at the test, and there was 2 lines. So my heart literally dropped to my ass, and I was like, oh my God. But it was such a faint line that I didn't know, like I literally didn't know if my eyes were just playing tricks on me. So I text Chris, but I text Chris like, oh my God, like I just looked at the test again and it has 2 lines, and he's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I know. So I just wait, and I wait, and I'm taking the test, and every 2 minutes I'm going back into my bag to look at it to see if the other line like goes away, and it didn't. So I'm like, what is going on? After school finishes, there's actually a Planned Parenthood around that school. So I just went, and I was like, I had already went before, actually, I forgot that part. I went before because I was like, I'm gonna try to do a blood test, because I was so anxious that I wanted a result right away. And I was like, I should just do a blood test and it'll come back faster, or like it could tell earlier. So I had already went, but they told me they don't do pregnancy tests unless like you kind of like, it's like if you need birth control, if you need an abortion, stuff like that. So doing a blood test just because you wanted to, they don't really do that. So whatever, I had left. So then I came back and I go to the same girls were there, and I'm like, I know you guys said you don't do this, but can you tell me if I'm crazy? I know I had Googled, I had also searched, and it says sometimes you can get a false yes. It's super rare. Like, don't even listen to me when I say that, because like if you get a positive, you're most likely pregnant. But there's such thing as an evaporation line. Like if you wait a long time, which I did, and it doesn't show up for like a really long time, sometimes it's not really a positive. It's just the pee on the stick evaporates and it makes another line. So I told them, I'm like, it's that, right? That's what happened. And they're like, no, you're pregnant. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, I promise you that if you see a positive, like that evaporation line thing is BS. Like, it happens once in a million, like you're pregnant. And I literally started crying right there, and they were so shook. They were like just looking at me like, are you, like when someone's crying and you just don't know what to do, like that was them. Like they were like, are you okay? Do you need a tissue? Do you need to call somebody? I'm like, no, I'm good. They were like, do you know what you want to do with the baby? And I immediately was like, I mean, I know what I'm gonna do with it. Like, I'm not, like, obviously, this is a moment when everyone kind of starts to wonder, but I was just kind of like, I mean, it's here. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't want to talk too much on pose, life, and all that stuff. Because I had kind of already thought about if I was, what I would do. And I had kind of already made that decision before even knowing if I was or wasn't. So I was just like, well, yeah, I'm having it. You know, God willing, I'm gonna have this baby. And they were just like, oh, well, it's gonna be a hot girl summer. Woo, like, yay, congratulations. And I'm like, thank you. And I call everybody there. Like, I was gonna wait to get home and call everybody, but I was just so like nervous. I called Chris, I called my sister, I called my mom. And I told them, like, guess what? And they're like, well, my sister was like, what? My mom and Chris were just like, no. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you don't say. And I'm like, I do. Even at work, I'm with my coworkers and they're like, did you go get the test? And I'm like, yeah, but they said I was pregnant, but like they're wrong. And they're like, what do you mean they're wrong? And I'm like, but on the inside, I knew it, which is why it was so scary for me. Because like I said, I had a feeling and I feel everything. So in the inside, I really literally knew it. But my brain was just like, no. And I'm like, yeah, like they're wrong. So, and they're like, they're probably not wrong. Probably not wrong, but okay. So after that, I kept taking, I literally took like at least 5 to 10 pregnancy tests at home. Some of them came back negative, some of them came back positive. So at this point, I was just, obviously, if you get at least one positive, you know, it's not gonna pick up the pregnancy hormone if you're not. So if you get one, you're pregnant. But I literally got at least, like, I got maybe like 3 negatives and then like 7 positives. And I was just like, well, I'm not really sure. I'm not gonna lie. After the 10th one, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm pregnant. Okay, whatever. And this is all literally before I even was supposed to get my period. Like, not even supposed to happen that fast. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys. I only found 2 of them. I guess I threw the rest of them out. But here's 2 of the pregnancy tests. 2 is already too much. You should not. If you get 1 positive, you're pregnant. These are just 2, and I'm surprised it even still like says it, because sometimes, like, some of them after a while I erased it, but these are still like really good. If anyone needs a fake pregnancy test, sell them. Around the 28th, 29th maybe, I went to the hospital for the bleeding because I was scared. So I was like, you know what, if I am pregnant, you know, sometimes bleeding is normal, but sometimes bleeding is not okay. So I was scared. So I went to the hospital one night because everyone was telling me to relax, but I was so nervous that I just went. I told them, you know, I'm pregnant and I am bleeding. And, you know, it could be normal, but I just would like if someone could check up on me and, like, you know. First of all, so I go to this hospital around my house and they were so horrible. Like, they're the worst hospital ever you could ever go to. And I knew that, but I just wanted to go somewhere fast. So I'm like, how bad can they be? And this is where I learned how bad they could be. So I go, they check me in. First, the guy at the freaking walk-in, he asked me what I'm there for, and I tell him that, and he goes, oh yeah, like, you know, sometimes that could mean a miscarriage. Like, why would you tell me that? Like, are you trying to have me go into an anxiety attack in your emergency room? Because I don't think you want that. Why would you say that? Like, you know what I'm saying? As a doctor, you have to have a certain, like, professionalism. You know, don't say something if you're not sure. They told me that, and now I'm super nervous waiting because he kind of said what I was thinking, and I was so scared. So I'm there for hours and hours and hours. When they finally call me in, they do a urine test, they do a blood test, and they do a sonogram. Their blood test and their urine test came back negative. And they literally were like, yeah, you're not pregnant. And I'm like, yes, I am. And they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. And it was a back and forth. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, do it again, you're wrong. Because at this point, the feeling I had was so strong. And then all those positives that I was just like, you know, 9 times out of 10, I'm pregnant. So I'm literally arguing with the nurse or whatever, like, I am pregnant. Like, I know I'm pregnant. And they're like, no, sweetie, like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you don't have to be sorry. It's just that I know I'm pregnant. Like, I'm not crazy. I felt so crazy. Then they did a sonogram, and literally they had me waiting another like 2 or 3 hours. It was literally, I left at 3 in the morning. Anyways, I literally left without like checking out. Like, I walked out because I had to work the next day, and they were not giving me my results. And I'm constantly going to the front desk like, is somebody gonna give me an answer? Like, can I just go home? And they're like, well, we're waiting for the sonogram results. So I really didn't even wait for the sonogram results, but I'm just like, how is a store-bought $10 pregnancy test better than hospital's blood test? Like, so I went home because I just felt crazy. Like, they made me feel so crazy. Like, I'm like, how are you gonna tell me that I'm not pregnant? And I know I am. And I was just like, did I just like get into all of this too fast? So then that also kind of added on to my denial, because then I'm like, well, the hospital must be right. And so I just, at that point, like I said, I waited for my period, and obviously it never came. And while I waited, because, you know, like, they told me I wasn't pregnant, and everybody was like, well, ooh, you're not pregnant, like, you do whatever you want. But I just had such a strong feeling that I still, like, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, or like, you know, do anything that would harm her. I just didn't want to do anything just in case, because I was like, I just can't shake. Even they told me no, that I'm not pregnant, and I just can't shake that feeling that I am. Like, something is inside of me. So like I said, I wait days, my period never comes, and I realized, okay, well, I am pregnant. Eventually I make an appointment with a different hospital and a different GYN and everything, like my actual like clinic, and they do a pregnancy test, and I am pregnant. So yeah, I would let it sink in, and you know, I was happy. I was scared, but I was so happy, because I just felt like the same feeling I had that I was pregnant. I had a feeling that everything was gonna be okay. Like, I was gonna have this baby, and it was gonna be like a happy, healthy baby, and you know, everything was gonna go good. Like, I was young, you know, I was 19 when I got pregnant, but I just felt like, you know, I just had that feeling, you know, God got me and everything was gonna be okay. And so far, I was so right about that. God has brought me my beautiful baby girl, and you know, everything is just perfect. So I'm thankful for that. And yeah, that's my story of how they told me I wasn't pregnant, and I was, and I knew I was, but they didn't listen to me. So that's that. Okay, so that's the end of my video. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share this video. My next video is going to be a gender reveal vlog, so look out for that. And I have a bunch of other videos coming up soon. A lot of you guys told me what you wanted to see, so I'm in the process of making all of those. So that's all. Thank you everybody for watching, and bye.